What's going on, everybody? Back again. This is Aaron May with the Extra Rvrb podcast. We've got a weekly recon, very special episode today. Something I'm really excited to talk about. But first, I wanted to remind you that we are brought to you by AME Media. Very happy to have them with us, making sure everything is top notch and getting you the best content that we can. Working on the Patreon account, quick little update, getting some of the videos ready so all the content is ready for you to rip, study, download, share, and use to get better at your craft and become better leaders. Learn some things along the way about how to grow your business, how to grow personally, and how to just become more mentally tough overall with your everyday life. So many great things in the works over there, and as soon as it launches, you'll be the first to know. So in today's episode, I am so excited. We are breaking down this amazing book that I've read a couple times, and it is Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. And I apologize if I'm saying the last name incorrect. It could be Sinek, but I'm going to go with Sinek. I wanted to deep dive into this book because it really helps put into great perspective the way that we can think, lead, and live, okay? And when you're reading this book, if you've ever wondered why some teams feel like families and others feel like a grind, and there's not a lot of cohesion, people are just there to work, they're not inspired, this book really has the answers for me. And Sinek, who's the mind behind Start With Why, if you've ever read that book, it is also a great book. It explores leadership, trust, and what kind of makes teams click. How do you really get in there? Have you ever been on a team where everything's just kind of going? You're inspired to show up every single day. You're motivated by what the goal is of the team and where you're at, or the mission that you're about to go out on, and you're trying to just really nail it, and you're inspired to work hard. That is the best situation to be in. And kind of Start With Why really explores leadership, trust, and what it is that makes those teams click, okay? There's a lot of stories that can really stick with you. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's unpack this gem, Leaders Eat Last, Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't, by Simon Sinek, okay? Now, the big idea behind Leaders Eat Last, the title, it comes from an old Marine Corps tradition that Sinek witnessed firsthand, and also I had instilled in myself during my time in the Marine Corps. And it usually happens, at the mess hall, at chow. And in the book, Sinek witnessed senior officers like colonels, captains. They waited until every Marine, all the way down to privates, they got their food before they ate. And this is something that, for myself, when I was a squad leader, right? We want to make sure all of your men got their food, had everything they needed, and then you got to go get your food and eat. Because just like they said in the book, the Marine told Sinek, we take care of our own, all right? It's not just some cool ritual, right? This is a leadership principle, okay? And Sinek argues this in the book, that great leaders prioritize their team's need over their own. And this creates a circle of safety, right? Where people can feel protected from external threats, market pressures, internal politics. And when they're protected from that, they can collaborate. They feel free to innovate without feeling like they're going to get shoved to the side. They're going to get laughed at. Someone's going to tell them, no, that idea sucks. They might still tell them that, but you feel like you're in a safe environment to express yourself and give your thoughts and give your feedback without losing your credibility. For example, in the book, He points to Johnny Bravo, who was an Air Force pilot. And during a mission in Afghanistan, he flew dangerously low through enemy fire to protect troops on the ground, right? His commander, he didn't punish him for breaking the protocol and flying too low. He praised his courage, okay? And that praise was born from a culture of trust, okay? He could have definitely said, hey, you broke protocol, but you have to take into account the situation, the scenario, what it called for. And his actions saved lives. So when eaters eat last, teams, they're more apt to take bold risks, like this one that I just referenced with Johnny Bravo, the pilot. When they don't, fear takes over, right? And the team can fracture because you're too afraid to make a mistake. You're worried about the leaders. As a leader, you have to be empathetic to the individual situation. We've talked about that in previous episodes. Go check it out if you haven't over the past month and a half. But when there is trust that, hey, my leader is going to understand the scenario, he's going to see my perspective on this, and he's going to take that into account with his actions afterward. Okay? Sinek in this book, he leans on science a lot to explain why this approach works. And it really is just fascinating, right? He breaks down in the book 4 brain chemicals: endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, right? Endorphins and dopamine are selfish, right? They drive us with personal wins, like when you crush your sales target at work, or you finish a marathon that you've been training for months. But then you got serotonin and oxytocin. Those are team-oriented chemicals, right? Serotonin sparks pride when you're recognized. Like Costco's CEO, Jim Sinegal, was publicly praised employees for keeping stores running through tough times, okay? Oxytocin fuels trust. Like Southwest Airlines pilots and flight attendants who were empowered by their leaders, like Rvrb Keller. They went out of their way to help passengers, which created a loyal customer base, okay? And then Sinek contrasts this with cortisol, which is, if you don't know, the stress hormone. And in fear-driven cultures, like the ones that we don't want to have on our team, Enron, great example under Jeff Skilling. Cutthroat competition ruled over there, okay? Which means there were cortisol spikes, a lot of fear. It made people guarded, and it killed creativity because you don't want to take risks out of the fear of losing your job, being ostracized from the team, or just being berated by your superiors. Okay, great leaders, Sinek says in the book, they foster serotonin and oxytocin to align with our human wiring. So very scientific on this. It's not just pats on the back, hey, go get them, good job. You can actually trigger chemical responses in the brains of your team members. And if those chemicals are negatively affecting their brain and their decisions, it's not going to be good, right? So why do some leaders pull together while others don't? It's all about that circle of safety that I referenced earlier, right? Sinek shares a story in the book of Barry Waymiller, who has a manufacturing company led by the CEO, Bob Chapman, okay? And during the 2008 financial crisis, orders at this company dropped 30%. That's huge, all right? That's crippling. And instead of layoffs, Chapman created a furlough program where everyone from factory workers all the way up the line of the executives, they took unpaid time off to share the pain. Okay? And Chapman cut his own salary and benefits the most. He cut them the most, right? So when he did this, trust with the employees, it soared and they rallied around the company. And then after this was over, the company emerged stronger because they had that trust. He didn't continue to get paid his large salary. He took the biggest cut out of all of it to keep the company running. So it's like, hey, we're in this together. We have a shared goal. We have a shared mission. Compare that in 2008 to Goldman Sachs. And in the book, Sinek notes that the leaders prioritized bonuses and stock prices over their clients and employees. Okay? This made people take risky bets. It eroded trust in the employees of their leadership and in the clients of the company. And this contributed overall, as I'm sure you know, to that financial crisis. So what's the difference? Chapman ate last. He wanted to make sure everyone else was taken care of first. While over here on Wall Street, the executives ate first. And that's just not a way to do things, right? Another example is NextJump. And it was a tech company and with a no layoff policy. Pretty cool. The co-CEO, Charlie Kim, decided that no one would be fired for performance. Instead, when someone wasn't performing, they would coach people and then they would redeploy them. So they bring them up, bring them back, go get trained up, get your mind right, and we're going to send you back out there once we've given you better tools to work with, once we've improved your skills to work with, okay? And in the book, they describe how this led to a turnover rate below 1%, which is amazing, which means that almost everyone is staying at this company. And that gives you a culture where employees feel safe. They can pitch bold ideas. They can admit when they make mistakes because they know it's not going to get them fired, right? It's only going to help them get better. And this drives innovation. We need this in so many areas of our society where we're fostering creativity. We're driving innovation. We're encouraging people to go out there and take risks. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not thinking outside the box. You're not trying to innovate. Innovation can only happen outside of the box. It's not going to happen already where everything's already comfortable and worked out. Okay? We didn't fly the first airplane staying on the ground, saying, oh, wouldn't it be great if I was jumping off buildings and just flapping our arms in the air. It took innovation, right? And without that safety, you get dysfunction, okay? Another example in the book, United Airlines 2009, okay? It was the whole United breaks guitars debacle, and there were policies that led a just absolute PR nightmare after a musician's guitar was damaged. And it's just things you don't want to have happen, okay? What I love in this book is how Sinek compares leadership to parenting. There are so many parallels that I've found in being a good leader and being a great parent, okay? In the book, he says, good leaders, like good parents, provide safety and guidance while letting teams grow. And there's nothing better for your mindset as a parent is knowing that, hey, I have to teach this person about the world and I need to lead by example. I need to keep them safe. I don't want them to get hurt. But I'm also going to guide them along the way, and I'm going to give them a little bit of rope as they start to learn, as they get older, as they start to understand, and I'm going to let them grow. They're going to make mistakes, but I'm going to be there to guide them when they make these mistakes, right? That's how our kids grow up to be successful adults. Okay, another great example was, again, Costco's Jim Sinegal. He paid workers above average wages and kept prices low. Obviously, Wall Street is over here criticizing him, but during downturns, he cut his own pay to avoid layoffs. Okay? We've already said this. What's that going to do? Foster loyalty, exactly. And that is what made Costco a retail giant. People go there, they work hard, they're loyal, they provide customers with a great experience, and the CEO, the higher-ups are willing to take the hit first. They're going to eat last. Okay? It's just like a parent sacrificing for their kids, right? You cook dinner for your kids. How many times has your meal been cold because you're getting their plate ready? You're helping them eat. Then they're asking for something else. They need a refill on their water or their milk. And then, oh, I want some more raspberries. Oh, I need a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, okay, now they're fed, they're done, and you get to eat your cold plate. It's fine. And you're fine with it because they're happy. You've provided for them, right? Contrast that with an Enron again, right? The rank and yank system, which puts employees against each other because they're all trying to be the best. They're all trying to outshine everyone else. And what is that going to do? They're going to try to undermine people. It's very cutthroat. It's competitive in a negative way because if I don't outperform Johnny over here, if I don't outperform Mike, then I'm going to be fired. So not only am I going to try to be the best, but also I'm going to try to prevent them from being the best. It's every man for himself. That's not how a team works. Okay? You're breeding fear instead of growth. And what's Sinek's point in this, right? Leaders who empower, not control, build teams that thrive. We want to empower people. Okay? He also talks a lot about millennials in this book, and being a millennial, I can really relate to this. Arguing, millennials crave purpose because we grew up in an instant gratification from social media kind of world, and it's getting worse with each generation, okay? We got a good look at it from being in the generation of when we were younger. It hadn't fully developed yet, but then in our formative teenage years, technology really starts to take off. You have the emergence of MySpace and Facebook, and then Instagram comes along, and it's just this instant gratification of likes and getting what I want right now, being able to press the button. Amazon delivered this afternoon. I ordered it 2 hours ago. And he also shares in the book how NextJump, the tech company, their coaching model helps young employees find meaning, not just tasks. So while I'm getting coached up, I'm learning more about how the process works, how the systems work that are in place, why they're there. I'm learning about the business. I'm learning about the environment that I'm in. And what that's going to do is now I'm going to feel like I can make more of an impact. I have more purpose. I understand the greater cause. You're not just asking me to send this email. You're not just asking me to make this slideshow presentation. You're not just asking me to come up and break down the quarterly numbers into a PowerPoint. That's just a better way of doing it. Coach your people. Give them the tools they need to succeed. Watch them grow. Help them grow. Foster collaboration. Foster taking risks. Foster giving opinions. Ask for people's feedback. Be open in your lines of communication. Okay? Leaders need to meet employees where they are. Okay? We don't need to toughen up. We need to create a culture that is fun for employees. When they're enjoying being at work, they're going to give clients a better experience. When the clients have a better experience, they have more loyalty to the company. The company grows, right? Now, let's get practical on this. What can we learn from these examples we've talked about? Okay, first for me is prioritize people over numbers. It's that simple. Ask yourself, does my team feel safe to speak up or fail? And if not, you are leaking trust, my friend. Like United did in the example we referenced earlier, right? Second, model sacrifice. Just like Chapman did it, or Senegal at Costco, right? Third, focus on the long term. Yes, we need to have short-term goals, but we got to make sure that these goals are stepping stones, are a ladder toward the long-term success of the company that we're building or the goal that we're chasing. Right? Where Sinek warns in the book against short-term traps, like Goldman Sachs bonus-driven culture. Oh, if you can make it this quarter, you're going to get a bonus. Right? It hurts more than it helps. Instead, emulate Southwest. Okay? Trust in employees builds loyalty and a resilient airline that has continued to grow and be successful. I have one little critique that Sinek can be idealistic. Okay, we want to mention that. Okay, what if you're a middle manager, for example, under a very toxic boss? This happened at Enron a lot. He doesn't deep dive in the book into those constraints, right? You can apply these ideas on a smaller scale, build your own circle of safety, even if it's just your team, if you're a middle manager, right? You can do this, and then you're going to have to deal with your boss in your own way. But the team that you're in charge of, you can take these leadership positivity and you can have that culture in your team and let that shine through and help your team grow. And hopefully you're able to move up in the company because you're showing the growth, you're showing the progress, you're showing the success because of your adapting these amazing leadership skills. You're eating last. So why does this book matter? There's a reason I wanted to break it down for you guys, okay? Leaders Eat Last. It's not just for CEOs. It's not just for Marines. It's for anyone who influences others. And there's so many people out there that strive to do that. They're trying too hard to do that. They're doing it in the wrong ways, okay? The story with the furloughs or the no layoff policy or Costco's employee-based focus, and then you got Southwest's fun culture. These show that leadership, it's about service, not status. So at any level in a company, you can be a leader. At any level, you can be a leader. If you start out a leader, you're going to finish a leader. It's not about your status. Put the other people first. Our world is so obsessed with metrics, okay? And in the book, Sinek, he calls to put people first through actions, like in the Marine Corps, eating last. It feels radical, but it's withstood the test of time. You want teams that pull together? Build trust, act with empathy, and create the circle of safety around you. Make the people that are following you feel like they're in a safe environment where it's okay to fail, where it's okay to take risks, where it's okay to be transparent, where it's okay to bring you ideas that are outside the box, where it's okay to handle a situation and know that their job isn't necessarily on the line. Okay, so what should be your takeaway from this? I'm sure if you have your own, but my takeaway is, have you seen leaders eat last? Because I have. I've done it. I've experienced it firsthand. In the Marine Corps, I learned that, and I've taken that with me. Before I even read this book, obviously, the premise of the book is why I picked it up and read it in the first place. And it was just something that occurred to me through experience, but then seeing how it can scientifically be applied and it applies in real world scenarios, it made me realize that, hey, there's something more to this than just the practical application of literally getting your food last. Okay? So that's all I have for today's book breakdown. It's an amazing book. To get a little bit more in depth on it, go check it out. If you enjoyed this, share it with a friend. Like, subscribe, 5-star reviews are free. and they help us out a great deal. I appreciate everyone's support so far. Keep an eye out for the Patreon account. Please go follow us. We're everywhere. I'm at Extra Reverb Host on TikTok. Aaron May 247 on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook, but generally Instagram and TikTok are mainly where I'm at. Also on Extra Reverb Pod on X, if you want to get a little bit more into the weeds on some current events, that's what we do over there. YouTube at Extra Reverb Podcast. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Wouldn't be possible without you. The Extra Reverb shop is always live. Just put up some new cool Extra Reverb podcast gear. We got new hats, new shirts. Go check it out. Remember, all of our proceeds go to help various veterans charities. Very happy to provide that for them. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for listening. I hope that we have some great takeaways. If you have some things you want to share, some thoughts on this, some feedback, please shoot me an email. That's extrareverb, RVRB, @gmail.com. DM me on social media. I always love to hear back and get feedback or hear your takeaways and thoughts on things that we've discussed. Or if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you on your path to being a great leader. Until next time, folks, this is Aaron May, Extra Reverb Podcast Weekly Recon. Peace out.